By the late 18th century, the British government faced a sovereign crisis it had never designed an answer for. A private, profit-driven merchant corporation had accidentally acquired the territory, tax base, and military power of an entire nation in India. The East India Company operated outside the traditional administrative framework of the British state. It was a trading firm running a subcontinent. Parliament tried to patch this massive legislative hole with the Regulating Act of 1772. That legislation failed because of a structural flaw. It attempted to supervise the company's operations, but neglected to legally extract any actual operational power for the Crown. The political fallout hit the breaking point by 1781. Secret parliamentary committees uncovered disastrous corporate mismanagement, including the reckless instigation of the Maratha War. The man tasked with fixing this broken structure was the newly appointed 24-year-old Prime Minister, William Pitt the Younger, an administrator obsessed with efficiency. Pitt's solution was the India Act of 1784. This legislation set out to dismantle and rebuild the internal logic of colonial governance. To solve the problem of a rogue corporate state, the British government had to invent a completely new framework. They needed to subordinate the company's military and political actions to national authority, all without nationalizing its highly lucrative commercial assets. The operational reality on the ground in India demanded immediate attention, starting at the highest executive authority, the Governor-General's Council. This diagram represents the 1772 Executive Council. 4 equally weighted members surrounding the Governor-General created a strict 2-to-2 structural gridlock during disputes. This paralyzed the local executive branch, leaving the company incapable of responding to crises. Pitt's India Act implemented an arithmetic patch, reducing the governing council to exactly 3 members. The Governor-General was granted a casting vote, holding ultimate tie-breaking authority, ensuring absolute finality. Parliament also militarized this new triad. The act mandated that one of the 3 remaining members be the commander-in-chief of the British Crown's army. By altering the variables of council size and tie-breaking authority, Parliament replaced a paralyzed deliberative body with a military-backed executive command. Beyond the council, Parliament had to address the macro-geography of the company's territories, which were functioning as independent regional fiefdoms. This map highlights the subcontinent's immense geographic spread. Notice the isolated coastal positions of Bombay and Madras relative to the eastern stronghold in Bengal. Under the old system, these governors operated with near total independence across vast distances, pursuing contradictory wars without consulting Bengal. The 1784 Act applied a hard centralization patch. It formally stripped Madras and Bombay of their independence and legally subordinated them to the Bengal presidency. This administrative shift effectively established Calcutta, located in Bengal, as the singular, centralized capital of all British operations in India. The Governor-General in Calcutta was granted supreme power over all matters of war, revenue generation, and diplomacy. This geographic centralization eliminated rogue regional policies. Moving forward, any action taken by the East India Company spoke with a single, unified voice controlled entirely from Bengal. Parliament still faced its ultimate dilemma: how to strip a massive corporation of its political autonomy without destroying its highly profitable commercial trading network. This flowchart illustrates the dual system of government. The Governor-General in India now answered to 2 parallel pathways in London. The first pathway led to the Court of Directors, where the East India Company retained control, strictly limited to commercial activities. The second pathway led to the newly created Board of Control, a British State Department managing all political and military operations. This board was composed of 6 high-ranking government appointees, guaranteeing state authority. The legal mandate granted the board absolute authority to superintend, direct, and control the company's possessions. The East India Company was now permanently subordinate to the English government. The legislation also marked a formal shift in nomenclature. The company's territories were officially designated British possessions in India for the first time, a quiet assertion of national sovereignty. The final structural patch addressed human accountability and the rampant corruption of company officials. The act mandated that all civil and military officers formally disclose their exact property holdings in both India and Britain within 2 months of assuming office. This bifurcated machine separated the company's profit engine from its military capability. The British government now exercised the corporation's political power directly from London. The act succeeded in its immediate goals. By 1786, under the leadership of Lord Cornwallis, this system stabilized British rule and functioned as the constitutional framework for over 70 years. But Pitt's architectural design contained a fatal flaw. The jurisdictional borders between state control and company power were hazy. The Governor-General was trapped in dual allegiance, receiving contradictory directives from profit-seeking shareholders on one side and state ministers on the other. Furthermore, the Governor-General was stripped of direct military command during emergencies, which paralyzed rapid, ground-level responses to crises. The system's design contained a glaring omission. It focused entirely on the mechanics of British authority, providing zero substantive provisions for the welfare of the Indian population being governed. These compounding administrative inefficiencies directly forced Parliament to apply continuous legislative patches, such as the Charter Act of 1813, to keep the system running. Pitt's India Act operated as a transitional blueprint. It tamed the corporate leviathan for a time, but the friction baked into its dual design made the absolute transfer of power to the British Crown in 1858 an administrative inevitability.